in both rounds exceeded 360 billion. So that's twice. So that was a lot of federal dollars. The state itself doesn't have an equivalent program. However, the state is using all of the levers and government agencies to help the small business community in whatever way it can. An example would be the Controller of Public Accounts is working with small businesses to establish payment plans to enable them to pay taxes owed over time with no penalties. The Department of State Health Services is the one that's coming up with the guidelines as to how to open safely at 25%, or even the curbside pickup and retail to go. The Texas Workforce Commission has been working tirelessly. I know that they've been really difficult to get hold of, but they've been slammed by unprecedented numbers of people needing to speak to them and needing to make unemployment claims. But they've been doing town halls all around the state every single day, sometimes 3 times a day, to try to get the word out, to be able to answer questions from business owners and the unemployed as well. So that organization has really done everything that it can in the context that we're in. I suppose they would say that they had 1.5 million calls on that first day that the crisis hit. That would be the equivalent of all the calls they would get in 12 months. Obviously, they weren't able to get to all those calls. They weren't set up for that, but they have doubled their capacity in their call centers and advisors. And they've also processed the equivalent of 2.5 years worth of claims in the first month of the crisis. So, they really are trying hard. So, the state is focused on helping in all the ways that it can with all of the government agencies, but it is not a source of funding at the moment, but that's not required, I don't believe. So I hope I'm answering your question.
You are, and I did want you to just go back and reiterate what supports are in place for the small business community. You noted that it's not funding, but what are those other elements or strategies that have been put into place to support the small business community?
Well, so I suppose information and question answering would be the first thing that we would do, and we're focused on that. And we've been running our own webinars once a week. Excuse me, I can't believe this. I'm going to have to. Yeah, sorry, my battery's running low. I thought it was plugged in. So we have been running webinars where we've been addressing the questions of small business owners across Texas in relation to the Small Business Administration funding, how to get it, how to optimize it, what you can do and not do with that. We've also been steering them towards community development financial institutions. Many of the small businesses in our state are not going to either apply or get the Small Business Administration funding, but there are community development financial institutions who will give loans on very generous terms, and they will work with companies who may not be served by conventional banking. So we've been raising awareness of that. We've also been raising awareness of free advice that you'll find in your small business development center. There are over 40 of them in the state. They work alongside of universities, and they are a partnership between that university and the Small Business Administration, and they will give advice and support and help companies apply for funding. Funding is critical, but advice is also critical, and knowing the right information. And so a lot of what we're steering people towards is the right information, mentoring, guidance, as well as funding.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you, Kelly. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you had down here from the Comptroller's Office. I know that you spoke very briefly about taxes. I'm sorry, I lost you, Kelly, on the screen. Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly, I lost you on the screen. Can you hear us?
Yeah, so sorry.
You had spoke a little bit about taxes.
Do you mind repeating the question again?
Taxes.
Taxes, yes. Okay, well, we pay taxes to the Controller of Public Accounts in Texas, and we also pay taxes to the IRS. And both organizations are acutely aware of the challenges and issues for small business at the moment. And both organizations are willing to work with their small business customers to come up with payment plans for taxes or defer the payment of taxes so that businesses can continue to survive. The key piece of advice there is for the company owner to reach out to the Controller's Office or the IRS, speak to somebody, discuss a plan, and be in communication with them. But I know that they will work with businesses and they want to, but communication is critical. You cannot make assumptions and then not communicate.
So will the state be helping it in any way as they reach out to these different organizations if they're not getting the feedback or they're not getting consistency in the information that they're getting? Will the state be able to provide any type of assistance?
Well, sure. We regularly get calls from people who feel that they haven't been able to either get an answer for their specific question, or they don't fully understand the information they've been given. And so we work every day with tens and hundreds of companies, between all of the people like myself on the front lines dealing with small business questions. We are on the small business team, but like I said, the other departments in film, tourism, music also have people on the front lines dealing with companies who feel they're not fully understanding what they're being told or haven't been able to get an answer on a phone line. So yes, we are working to help everybody get the information they need.
You have spoken to me a little bit about agriculture. Is there anything particularly going on in that industry that we're providing support?
Did you say agriculture?
I did.
You did. Okay. Well, the Department of Agriculture actually has, just like ourselves, been working to bring together all the information that's relevant to their own community. There's a lot of resources and state funding, I believe, for those involved in agriculture, horticulture, farming, and so on. I believe in the last round of the Small Business Administration funding that farmers were eligible. And so if people have questions about what is available to them, the Department of Agriculture website has a coronavirus resource page, and that would be the first place I would go to. But also, if you are involved in agriculture, chances are you have your contacts in your extension office. I would be talking to them as well.
Okay, great. Star, I wanted to come back to you for a minute and talk a little bit about the process that the governor has in place. I know we're in phase one. Do you have any information about how we're going to be moving forward?
Unfortunately, no, not at this time. Again, phase one just started rolling out on Friday. And as I had stated before, as testing continues, and really as the governor has stated, data and doctors will drive his decisions to open additional businesses in phases. I know, just speaking from my local community, I get questions, similar to what you had just asked, VR. We've got hair grooming services. We've got all sorts of different services that are still really hurting, and they want to be able to open up their doors, but open them up safely. And so, when that will be able to occur, I think what we're seeing in this first rollout is we're watching and we're waiting to see what the data shows. Again, to try to find that fine balance of opening up the state of Texas back up again while keeping our most vulnerable populations and our citizens safe.
Well, I know in the city of Dallas, they have a ad hoc COVID-19 committee, and those committee meetings are open to the public. Is there a way for us to stay on top of what's going on with the strike force? Is this an open committee? Is this a closed group? How is that process being done?
I'm not entirely aware of the access to that. Again, when I look at, because, as a small business owner myself, who has also been affected by this, for me, it's making sure. So the small business office has webinars going on, and they've actually been situating webinars depending on where you are at with the state. I know one for East Texas is about to come out where they're sharing all of this information. And so for me, I am actively tuning in to, what are the briefings that are coming out of this? What are the guidance that we're receiving from Strikeforce to Open Texas? And so, but definitely, VR, I can circle back and follow up with you just to see, what additional access for citizens, again, myself being a business owner, is there to stay tuned in terms of the guidance that's being put out by the strike force. So I'll definitely follow up with you on that.
Thank you so much. Kelly, I wanted to circle back around to you because you said you guys were doing, I believe, weekly webinars. Is there some regularity in that? Can you share some dates with us, or at least where our attendees can go and get this information if they want to stay connected and know what's going on at the state level?
Absolutely, and Star just spoke about them. In fact, we have them, we've had 3 already, we have 2 more. They are on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. You can find the information to register. You must register in order to attend, and that information is on our own website, and I can share that email address with VR after this, or you can find it on the Office of the Governor website. Click on the coronavirus red banner at the top, and you'll be able to find your way to the small business pages. It's also promoted on LinkedIn and Facebook. The webinars happen at 1 p.m. And like Star said, we're structuring them around the regions of Texas because we were originally going to have physical events across the state. And of course, they've been canceled or postponed. And so we are working with those regional partners that we would have held the physical events with to have these webinars for their communities. But really the questions that get asked and answered are applicable to anybody across the state, and anybody can register to attend. So this Wednesday's webinar is 1 p.m. and it's going to be with our East Texas partners. And then next Wednesday, we have one with our West Texas partners. And then after that, we will be establishing another series of 3 to 4 webinars. We're going to broaden the topics to things like survival strategies, planning for the future, pivoting, looking at your business model and figuring out how you can improve that for the new world we find ourselves in, or perhaps the new world we may be headed to. For the most part, these first 5 that I spoke about have been focused on funding and the Small Business Administration funding or community development financial institution funding, because funding has been the biggest thing on everybody's mind. But as we move along and as companies realize they're going to be able to tread water and stay alive and look ahead, it's really to help them look ahead towards a growth strategy, a future strategy that can help them be sustainable and profitable into the future.
Kelly, that's a great point. You talked to me about some survival strategies, and you were going to give some smart money management tips. We're about at 10:20, and I want to make sure we have time for questions and answers. Would you want to share those now?
Sure, why don't I do that? And I'll talk for a few minutes about that. And really, these are kind of grouped in the kind of way that would make sense if I was giving a talk on this. I suppose what I would say is that people need to cut their cloth to try to stay alive at the moment. And then that focus is all about trying to bring in as much money as you can and trying to pay out as little as you can, you know. So if you look at things like, you know, look at your revenues, if you're lucky enough to be still trading, try to get your customers to spend more. You can do that by creating bulk discounts to encourage them to spend more at a time, to get them to pay cash, perhaps, you know, if that would be really helpful to you. Get them to pay sooner. If they pay sooner, give them a discount. Another way to look at it, depending on the business that you're in, is to get them to kind of look ahead and pay monthly for a guaranteed amount of product to be delivered on a certain day. A monthly subscription kind of approach, or a, you know, software as a service kind of approach, if that works for the kind of business that you're in. You can also, you know, if you're looking at what to do next in terms of maybe even expanding and needing to buy equipment, maybe don't buy it, lease it. That will help your cash flow. If you have accounts receivable coming in where people owe you money and you'd like to get your hands on that cash faster, you can use a factoring service, which is, you have to pay a discount for this, but you get the money into your account much quicker, a little bit less of it, but it means you've got your cash in your hand, which can be really critical for businesses. Other ideas that I would suggest is just looking at the inventory you're carrying, maybe the raw materials and further inventory that you're buying. Do you need to have as much as you normally would have? Because that cash, or sorry, that inventory and stock is cash and you're tying it up. Another thing to look at is collaborating with your competitors, which I know people have a trouble with, but sometimes if you get together with businesses that are like you and you collectively buy the same products that you need for your own production system, you can get enormous discounts if you're buying 5 times the amount, for instance, collaborating with a couple of other companies. You can also negotiate better supplier terms. Again, you know, these things all depend on the business that you're in and how long you've been in business, and you know what's the scale of your costs. But there's, you know, lots of different ways to look at this, and I guess I'm not going to, I have a lot of other smaller ideas, but again, they're quite specific. So I'll hand it back to you, VR, to see, did you want to have any other questions about that?
VR, you're on mute.
Star, I wanted to make sure, see if you had any kind of closing remarks before we open it up to questions.
I think like Kelly had said earlier, this is a difficult time for everyone. Again, I'm a small business owner who has also been affected by this. And if there is any light as a business owner, I start taking a look at what are the opportunities to either pivot on my business model, provide new types of services. And so again, really looking at, okay, what are areas of growth that I was considering that I may not have put off because I was focused on, one particular thing. And so I've actually taken a step back and looked at, okay, what other types of services are there in the state of Texas that I might be able to take advantage of as a women-owned and veteran-owned business. And so one thing to note is if you do have the ability to provide services to the state of Texas, Texas does have a historically underutilized business program where you can, if you're a minority-owned or women-owned business, the state agencies do have set aside specifically geared towards women-owned and veteran-owned business and minority-owned businesses. And so, again, when you look at, well, what are areas so that if my business is affected like this again, what are areas, that I may be able to expand into to balance out, my customer base. And so I really do encourage business owners, if you have the ability, is to look at the state hub program, look at doing business with the state, and follow the Women's Commission, because we also do advertise opportunities, as well as we look forward to bringing more women-owned business forums when these issues pass.
And actually, that's, so, I was going to
I'm sorry, Kelly, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to add to what Star said, and it's great that she brought that up. And, for companies who are thinking about that program and want to understand more about it, the Controller's Office runs programs to help people understand what it is, what they need to do, what the benefits are, if they become hub certified, how they can access that business. And so the state is really placing a lot of resources to encourage utilization of this program to get more hub qualified companies and get them winning more business.
We're definitely going to be reaching out to you as Veteran Women's Enterprise Center, Kelly, to get more information and make sure that we can help our women get connected. We encourage everyone on the Zoom event to also reach out to the state, particularly if they fit into either of these categories, and find out how they can get connected so that they can get the resources that they need to succeed. I now want to turn this over to Stephanie and see if we have any questions for our guests. Stephanie?
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions so far. So if you have any questions for Kelly or Star, please submit your questions to Stephanie Broughton, and I will make sure that your questions get read and answered during the webinar.
Actually, maybe I'll jump in and suggest, I know that people aren't asking questions, but, when I'm on webinars, I find, there's always a percentage of those businesses that are retail or e-commerce focused. And I'm finding that they are saying more and more now, we have to really up our game online, up our game as an e-commerce company. How can I do that? And, often they're afraid they're going to have to pay money to consultants to help them learn this. But I have found through my own research that all of the online big companies and the e-commerce companies have fantastic learning webinars that you can access for free, and you can actually become your own expert social media marketer or your own expert e-commerce e-tail site by using the resources that Facebook, Amazon, Yahoo, Twitter, and so on have put in place. You can actually go through a whole learning program through these webinars for free. You can even get certified, meaning, you've got evidence that you've learned all this stuff, and you could even sell your services as an e-commerce or social media marketing expert. I have links to all that information, all those webinars, and I can provide them to VR afterwards if people are interested.
That's awesome. And I want to go ahead and, Stephanie, do we have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, I want to go ahead and quickly share, let me see it coming up here. Well, I want to remind you all to go to our website. Our website is veteranwomensec.org. We have a COVID-19 resource And all of the resources that Kelly has been speaking to you about, we will be adding them to our resource center under state. So our resource center is broken down by national, state, local, veteran specific, women specific, and then basically just tools and training that's available. So that information will go up as soon as Kelly brings it, provides it to us in that resource center, and it'll be available for you to access. Ladies, it is 10:29. I will give you one final opportunity. If there's any other points you want to share, since we didn't have any questions, please go ahead and make those comments. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, for sharing this information. We all want to stay on top of what's going on at the state level. And if you get new information that you provide to us, we will definitely get it out to our constituents.
Well, I might take the opportunity to promote two sources of free, fantastic information. I'm reiterating one of them, which is the Small Business Development Centers. Fantastic crew of people. Many of them are entrepreneurs themselves, so they all understand where you're coming from. They can advise you on any aspect of your business, whether it's marketing, finance, better planning and all that. A second resource is SCORE, which is a national mentoring organization. They have an amazing panel of experts, some of them retired, not all of them retired, but these people are genuine experts in their field and want to give back. And so small business owners can get a mentor for, however many sessions you need to help you with a challenge or help you move your business to the next level. Many businesses use them for financial advice, but there's a SCORE chapter near everybody in this state. And if there isn't one in your town, the SCORE panel probably have mentors who can work with you anyway. So I would urge you to reach out to SCORE.
Kelly, you are awesome, because the Veteran Women Enterprise Center is a SCORE center, and I am actually a certified SCORE mentor. It is an awesome resource. And if we are not a convenient location for you, you can go on to score.org and you'll be able to identify either an online mentor or another location or chapter that is closer to you.
I also underscore SCORE. I have used it. I have used their services myself. They also offer free or very low cost classes and webinars, all the way from if you are trying to start a business to maintaining your business. And I also want to note your local Chamber of Commerce, being very actively involved. Chambers of Commerce really, really also focus on small businesses and promoting your services, getting your services out there amongst the community. So if you're not involved with your local Chamber of Commerce, they are just a fantastic resource for your needs as well.
And actually, if I may just chime in with another comment to back up what SCORE is saying, and really to underscore all the things we've been saying, is that, funding is critical. Businesses need money, but it isn't only about the money. And my own philosophy is that, in fact, what's more important really is having the right knowledge, the right connections, and then you'll know what to do with that money. You'll put that money to good use and get a return on it. But without the right knowledge and without the right connections, you may not be optimizing things. And so through these sources like SCORE, like the SBDCs and so on, that can help you with the knowledge, but also the right connections too, to help you make the most of things.
Thank you so much. We want to thank our guests from the state of Texas, from the Governor's Commission on Women, and also from the Office of Economic Development and Tourism, so much for spending time with us this morning. And now we want to transition to our presentation with the City of Dallas.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Courtney, if you're on the line, are you unmuted? Do we have Courtney on the line? Give us 1 second here. Let's make sure we have our guests on the line.
So he is ready to present.
Great. I'm going to turn it over to you, Courtney, to do your introduction and your presentation. And thank you again for joining us this morning.
And no problem, no problem. My name is Courtney Pogue. I'm the Director of the Office of Economic Development for the City of Dallas. And today I'm going to give you a slight overview of the City of Dallas Small Business Continuity Fund, which actually is launched about an hour ago, hour and a half ago. So we are currently taking applications for the program. It is a $5 million program. Next slide, actually. It is a $5 million program, which is broken out in two components. There's a $2.5 million for grants, and there's $2.5 million for loans. Within the grant program, there's a focus on highly distressed areas, which we have set aside $1.25 million for that program, or the carve out, and the balance of the grants are citywide. The maximum for the grants is $10,000, and that is basically sized upon a company's payroll. The next component of the Small Business Continuity Fund is the $2.5 million set aside for the loan program. The maximum for the loan is $50,000. That is also sized on your payroll and your operating expenses. It can be repaid over 5 years with up to 12 months of payment deferment. And the interest rate can range from 0 to 1%. For the loan program, it will go through traditional underwriting, meaning that there'll be some background checks and credit checks, and also looking at a personal guarantee and or corporate guarantee for the actual loan program. Next slide. Eligible businesses for both programs include micro businesses, which are businesses that have 5 or fewer employees, including the owner. The owner must be from a low to moderate income bracket, meaning that they make less than 80% of area median income. Small businesses, less than 50 employees, are also eligible for the program, in that they must have a workforce that is comprised of 51% low to moderate income workers, meaning that their workers make less than 80% of area median income. And the other requirements for the program, businesses must be located in the city of Dallas. Also, the business should have been open and operating as of September 1st of 2019, and the business will be required to demonstrate a 25% loss of revenue as related to the COVID-19 crisis. Next slide. The source of capital for the Small Business Continuity Fund is Community Development Block Grant capital, in that it is federal dollars. So there are federal guidelines tied to the program based upon job creation and job retention for full-time jobs. A full-time job under the federal guidelines is 40 hours or more. Also, a full-time job is a W-2 job. In a sense, 1099 workers are not considered full-time employees for this program. One of the requirements, since it is basically a job retention program, encouraging our businesses to really keep their workforce or rehire their workforce, we're asking that the businesses retain a certain percentage of the workers as a result of the assistance that they may receive from this program. Next slide. So applications are currently being accepted. That started this morning, and they will close next Monday, May 11. Once the applications are received, they will be reviewed and they'll be placed in a lottery, which will be a random selection of applicants who will then be underwritten by our third party or program administrator, and they will be verifying all the information that typically goes into an application, such as this number of jobs, financial information, W-9s, and the various documents required for a traditional loan or grant application. We estimate that this process will actually get money back to the applicants by June. So we're in the process now, or starting applications this morning, and hopefully within the next 30 to 40 days, we'll do everything we need to get done and get the money on the street and really help out some of the businesses here. This is not a lot of money, but it is our effort to really provide some assistance to businesses here in the city of Dallas. Next slide. So some of your typical documents that will be needed for the program. It'll be a W-9, it's basically verifying your employer identification number or your social security number, documentation certifying your payroll, information demonstrating that you have a business has experienced a 25% loss or greater, information that you're registered with the Secretary of State of Texas, and also if you're registered with Dallas County as a doing business as or sole proprietorship. We also need your profit and loss statements and your tax return information. Next slide. So for additional information, you can actually go to www.dallascityhall.com right now and click on the Small Business Assistance tab, and you'll find the actual program for the Small Business Continuity Fund. You can also go to my office's website at www.dallasecodev.org, and you can find information regarding to the Small Business Continuity Fund, along with other resources around the state of Texas, around the country, and within Dallas County. And if you have any questions regarding to the Small Business Continuity Fund program, you can also send us an email at sbcf@dallascityhall.com. So with that, that's a brief overview of the program. I encourage you, if you have additional questions regarding the Small Business Continuity Fund program, go to our website. Once again, applications are live. So if you have a business or you're a business yourself, you can go to our website and actually fill it out. It would ask you roughly about 7 eligibility questions. If you pass those 7 questions, which basically asks, are you a business located in Dallas? How much were your revenues last year? Have you experienced a loss as a result of the COVID-19 crisis? And are you an age-restricted business? If you answer those questions, then it opens the application up and you can fill it out and submit your information. There are 2 applications. There's one for the grant program and one for the loan program. You can only fill out one application, one for the grant or the loan, but not both. So with that, please go to our website if you are needing assistance within the city of Dallas. And with that, looking forward to receiving applications and opening up the questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Courtney, for providing that information. And we do have a couple of questions available for you.
Sure.
One of the questions is this program not available for sole proprietors?
If it's a sole proprietor that is registered with Dallas County and they have the various forms showing that they're a corporation or they're legally can do business in the city of Dallas, that they can apply.
Okay. And another question is, what non-financial resources does the city of Dallas offer?
Well, I think on our website, we listed a number of resources out there, information, and I think my previous speakers alluded to a number of resources, really from SCORE and the Small Business Development Center, which have been very helpful for a lot of businesses to really get their documentation in order as far as preparing their balance sheet and their income statements and statement of cash flows and so on. So that's one pathway. City Council did put in place a moratorium during this process in regards to evictions. So that's another resource out there. But there are a number of resources that we have on our website, both financial and non-financial, that may be helpful. It really depends on what the need is. One of the other programs that was launched today, there is a rental and mortgage assistance program that actually launched at the same time today at 9 o'clock. So if someone's needing help in regards to rental assistance and or mortgage assistance, there's another program out there being sponsored by the city of Dallas that can be very helpful to residential homeowners or renters in the city of Dallas.
Okay, perfect. And we actually did have a question about that rental and mortgage assistance program. The attendee wanted to know if that is the same program or is it a separate program?
It is a separate program. That the rental and mortgage assistance program is being managed by the city's Department of Housing.
Okay. The other question that we have is the grant open to churches to apply?
No. Because of the federal guidelines for the program, it is only available for for-profit businesses. So within the guidelines of the program, federal guidelines, it can only be applied to for-profit businesses.
Okay, and one of the other questions is, does the rental and mortgage program assist businesses as well?
It does not. So the rental and mortgage program is only for residential homeowners or renters in the city of Dallas. Any business assistance will come through the small business continuity fund program.
Okay, and the next question is, what is the difference between applying for a small business loan and grant?
The loan needs to be paid back, so it's a loan. So we will run credit and personal background checks and all the other typical requirements that goes with a loan. For the grant, it does not need to be paid back. However, each program is tied to job creation and job retention, and there are some clawbacks if there's not performance for both programs. The grant program is up to $10,000, and the loan program is up to $50,000. So the loan program, there's more money available. However, there's more requirements tied to the loan program. For the grant program, it's up to $10,000. And we're not doing the quote unquote, the full underwriting that a loan will go through. However, we still requires more or less job creation and job retention covenants tied to the program. And if there's non-performance, there will be clawbacks.
Okay, and what is the interest rate on the loan?
0 to 1%.
Okay. And I think that is all the questions that we have. Oh, they want to know, Courtney, if they can get a copy of the presentation.
Yeah, this is public. So the one I just sent over to you, you can send it out. It is a public presentation.
Okay, and everybody, I will try to send it through the chat feature so you can download it. And I'm going to now turn it over to VR with the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center.
And we'll also post it to our website under the COVID-19 in our resource center. Courtney, I wanted clarification on 2 items. In the presentation, it spoke about rehiring. If a business is pivoting and they're looking to hire, would they fit into that category, or does it have to be a reemployment or rehire?
It's either job creation or retention. So if you're rehiring, technically you are creating a job again. So the federal guidelines adhere to job creation, and job retention. So rehire could be considered job creation.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then my other question was, the businesses need to be able to demonstrate a 25% loss. So for those small businesses who may have already been breaking even, or maybe even functioning at a loss when all of this started, how do they demonstrate the continual loss in their business?
So basically, to look at the financial statements from the previous year and this year and do a comparison to demonstrate that there's been 25% loss in revenues. We'll also look at the first quarter financial statements. If you have your April financial statements, we'll do a comparison between month to month. So that's basically how we would kind of look at the way to demonstrate a 25% loss. So you can break it down from year over year, you can do a month to month, or do it by quarter assessment to verify there's been a 25% loss of revenue as a result of the COVID-19 crisis.
And you did mention that the actual loans, and is it the loans and the grants are going to be both on the lottery system?
Everything will be the lottery system because it would make it more of a fair process, not first come, first served basis. I think you're seeing that with the Small Business Administration PPP program. Those who have the resources can prepare the information the fastest, have received the loans, or the loans in this case from SBA. I think we want to do a more fair and random process in the sense that you can apply today, you can apply next Monday. And from there, the completed applications we put into a lottery and they'll be pulled out randomly.
Okay, that's good. And I have one last question for you, Courtney. God, it just slipped my mind. Oh, the process. So the application process, I think you guys are saying is pretty simple, but if someone did need assistance, is there an email or there's a group within the city that they can reach out to?
Yeah, they can reach out to our email at sbcf@dallascityhall.com. I will also say with Zarin Gracie, he's working with the Bill ecosystem. And so that's a number of entities around the city of Dallas that are willing to help out and provide some technical assistance. Of course, our small business development centers here within the region are very helpful and are willing to help, along also with our Dallas Entrepreneurial Center and a number of other entities around the city, including Impact Ventures. There's a whole slew of entities willing to help small businesses complete the application and or find the required documents for the program, such as your W-9 and doing the month-to-month financial statement. So there's a whole slew of entities out there willing to help. I know Zarin's putting together our list. I believe the list should be live. Once it does go live, I'll put it on our website at dallasecodev.org to make sure you'll have a list of entities that are willing to help applicants out with the application for the Small Business Continuity Fund.
That's awesome.
And Courtney, I had one more question. Should sole proprietors send Schedule C and 940 forms?
No, so the applications online is basically not taking any uploads at this time. We'll take the information right from the application. We'll put in a lottery. So the underwriter will then ask for all the backup documentation. But if you have all Schedule Cs and 940s and W-9s, I encourage you to really start having information. So once the lottery takes place, the underwriter would then call and do a follow-up and will request all the documentation to support your answers within the application. So we are verifying everything. As I stated before, this is a federal program. And if you're ever applied for federal assistance from SBA or housing and urban development, it is very document heavy. It requires a lot of dotting of I's and crossing of T's to make sure all the information is there and it is valid information.
So just to clarify, Courtney, they're putting in the application, and if they get selected, then all that information is being provided?
It will be requested.
Okay, awesome.
So we ask you to be truthful in all your answers, because of the last question of the application, are you truthful? And can you support all the information you put into the application? If you're selected, it will be verified. So from your social security numbers to your EIN numbers to your financial statements to where you live, your residence, you name it, it needs to be there. Your payroll, number of employees you have, how much your employees make. So we will need all the information to verify and underwrite the application.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Courtney. That presentation was really, I'm excited. We know that Dallas is leading and putting something together for the small business community. So we want to thank you all for your leadership and leading this charge and making sure that our businesses can get to the table, particularly those that are in those low to moderate income tracks. And so this is awesome. And we want to thank you again for coming on and sharing that information with us. Stephanie, I want to check back with you just one more time. We have about 5 minutes left to see if there are any other questions.
I'm looking through it to make sure I covered all the questions that were in here. I think we got everything covered. I sent the presentation through the chat feature, so you guys should be able to download the chat within there. And I also just wanted to touch bases to see if Darren Gracie would like to say anything. And so I'll wait to hear back from him to see if he wanted to say anything. And I also just wanted to let everybody know that Dallas Independent School District's MWBE department is available to assist those who are interested in doing business with Dallas ISD. And it sounds like I heard a mic open. So Zarin, are you on the line?
I am on the line. I am just supporting my brother Courtney, and the Office of Business Diversity is available to assist, as well as we're working on creating an ecosystem called Build, broadening urban investment to leverage Dallas. We have several organizations within that ecosystem that have, as we plan to launch June 1st, there are several organizations that are available to assist as well. So you have plenty of help. Your first point of contact, like Courtney said, you want to go to the website. It's pretty detailed in terms of the Q&A. Team has worked, for a while, every day, really since the announcement of this to make sure we had questions answered and resources that would be readily available to assist you. So I'm just here to support my brother. That's it.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Zarin, for being here and showing support. It's always great to hear from you. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to just check with both you and Courtney, and I don't know which one. So if a attendee has a problem with the website itself, like they're having issues submitting their information, who should they turn to for technical assistance?
They could turn to us. I mean, Zarin is definitely helpful, is definitely partner in crime in this effort, and they can turn to us, and we can kind of walk them through the technical aspect of the application. In regards to needing assistance, Zarin is definitely launching the Build ecosystem to provide the back-end resources and helping businesses prepare and gather the documents needed for this process, such as your financial statements, and your W-9s, and your payroll reports, and all the other documents that are needed for this program.
And what about actual technical issues with the site? Like if they're saying, hey, I'm trying to submit something and it's not allowing, the system's not allowing me to submit it, or I can't upload this, or if they're having those types of problems, is there like a IT group they should reach out to, or should they still reach out to you guys for those types of issues?
I think reach out to us. I know right now we're not doing any uploads. So basically providing information into the document or the application online. There aren't any uploads, but if you have any technical questions, they can definitely reach out to us. There's a number they can call, 469-749-6500, or they can email to sbcf@dallascityhall.com.
And Stephanie, can I just add, I had this thought, and all of this, with the federal funding that's being made available, Small Business Continuity Fund is being made available, but I've had several conversations with a lot of banks, a lot of working with the North Central Texas Council of Government, and one of the most common things that I keep hearing from them is there's been tons of money left on the table year after year after year from a grant perspective that people don't go after. So one of the things we're going to be focusing on in the build ecosystem is making sure that the businesses that come in for that assistance are not only what I've deemed financially ready, kind of a financial preparedness course, whether it's for loans or grants, getting all your documentation in order, but it's also making sure we educate them on what monies are out there, when a pandemic doesn't exist, that have they've left that money on the table year after year after year after year. So we really want to educate them on that kind of funding that's available, whether you're a nonprofit or a small business. So that's one of the other things we'll be working on in the build ecosystem.
Okay, well, that's awesome information to share, Zarin. Thank you so much, because that's so important. And that's one of the things that, and of course, you and I both know this, being in the same industry, that having that information available to business owners is so crucial. And just, being able to give them that information so they can take advantage of the resources that are just available to them any time of the year, not just during a pandemic. So hopefully, as a result of all of this, some things will shift and some things will change in regards to getting information out to business owners, and also for them not to be afraid to try, because that's, from my experience with working with business owners, that's been one of the biggest parts of the issue, is business owners being afraid to even attempt to try it. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And someone just wanted to know, and I apologize for this, Zarin Gracie is also with the City of Dallas. Someone just wanted to know what organization you were representing, Zarin. So if you don't mind, if you could just give just a very brief, just who you are, what your title is, and what it is you kind of do.
Sure, I apologize for not introducing myself. Zarin Gracie, the director of the Office of Business Diversity, and our primary role is to assist small minority women-owned businesses with getting contracts with the City of Dallas, but also connecting them with resources that exist within the city as well. So apologize for not introducing myself.
Oh, no problem. Actually, I'm going to actually take responsibility on that, because I put you on the platform and said, hey, Zarin, I was so excited to see you and hear from you. So, but yeah, thank you so much. So that both Zarin and Courtney are representing the City of Dallas. I am representing Dallas Independent School District. VR is representing the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center, and Star and Kelly are both representing the State of Texas Governor's Office. So that's
hey VR, I'm sorry I didn't speak.
So that's kind of all the organizations that are being represented today. And okay.
So I want to make just a couple of closing notes. One, really, when I said that the City of Dallas has taken a leadership role, they really have. And they've actually looked at a number of the problems that we've had with some of the funding that's come out at the federal level to eliminate and make sure that our small businesses get to the table. So this pool of money is for that small business community, many of which you got missed in the first round. It's dedicated to that track. It's dedicated to our city. And also they put it in a lottery. So we're gonna ask each and every one of you, please share this information. Because as Courtney said, if you get your application in this Monday or you get your application in next Monday, if your application is approved, you go into a lottery. So it's not a first come, first serve type of situation. So we really want to make sure that everyone that can get to the table, that needs to get to the table, can get to the table. And just before we leave, I want to reiterate, if you want to hear Stephanie's presentation around opportunities for ISD, she will be with us this Thursday at 6:30 on our Trending Thursdays tips. And we will also be doing our mandatory overview for our Coffee and Contracts certification program. And next Monday, you can get signed up now if you want to, but next Monday, we will have our Honorable Congressman Allred with us to give us an update on what's going on at the federal level, and also Larry Stuttlefield he's our Associate Administrator with the Office of Veteran Business Development that will be talking about what the SBA is doing. So we invite you to join us again later on this week and next Monday as we work to keep you guys updated with what's going on with COVID-19. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.